The Game Academy is always buying. Alright, I'm here with Dave DeMichele, Tampa, Florida. We're going to look through Zur the Enchanter in the next edition of our Most Hated General deck. Dave, what were you thinking about when you started making this guy?
I just wanted something that I could control the game really easily with, and he does a very good job of that because this deck plays very few creatures, lots of counter spells, and a little bit of removal.
Alright, and basically, what's your strategy for it?
Strategy is get Zur on the table as quick as possible, attack with him, probably put diplomatic immunity on him so he can't be targeted at all, then counter everything your opponent does while you just keep attacking every turn after that and putting more enchantments down.
Cool. So basically, it's just a single-minded deck. You're like rolling in the enchantments and trying to kill people through the alternate win condition and EDH of general damage.
Yeah, this deck is really good because it basically, even though you start with 40, your opponents start with 40 life, they really only have 20 because Zur attacks you with all the points of damage, and he's pretty much the only creature in the deck.
All right, cool. Let's go through the build and look at how you put this thing together. These are going to be the enchantments that you have lined up for us, Dave, that Zur is going to go and pick out of the deck with each of his attacks. And you have them arranged kind of strategically in the order that you might pull them. What's this first one up here?
This first one is Diplomatic Immunity. It gives Zur untargetability, and the Diplomatic Immunity itself can't be targeted.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to go do is give them Shroud, basically.
Yep. Right there you have Vanishing, which is basically a backup plan to Diplomatic Immunity. Instead, you can phase them in and out.
So he phases out, like if they're going after him?
Yeah, it stops the mass removal effects like Wrath of God and such.
Nice.
Yeah, Phyrexian Arena is a card drawer.
Sure.
And the one behind that, Necropotence, is actually the one you probably go for before the arena because you can fill up your hand really easily with that. And
nice.
Lots of cards is good. Daybreak Coronet gives him your lifelink ability, which will get your life back from the Necropotence that you're using.
Okay.
And pumps him up. And Seal the Godhead, basically the same thing as Daybreak, lifelink, pump him up, and make him unblockable is even better.
Cool.
Once you have a big hand with Necropotence or Phyrexian Arena, the Imperial Armor, and the lifelink and all that, you just gain lots of life. You can gain like 10 life a turn off that.
Cool.
Off that. Once you have a bunch of life and cards in hand, Solitary Confinement gives you kind of a soft lock. You can't be targeted, you can't take damage. So
nice.
After that, Greater Oromancy makes everything you have pretty much untargetable also. They got to get rid of that before you can get rid of anything else. Pretty much for mass removal like Disc or anything is all that's going to affect you.
A little legacy classic here.
Yeah, the Standstill, you just get that if you want to get some cards in hand also. If your opponent has something that you really need to deal with, Oblivion Rain takes care of that. Same thing with Prison Turn, locks down any creatures, any general like Orphelos or something like that. Orb of Silence is your little enchantment way of getting rid of artifacts. If they do happen to get a disc on the board, that takes care of it. And the Copy Enchantment, if you want a double of anything you just saw, the Copy Enchantment serves for that purpose.
Cool. Okay, Dave, so you took us through all the enchantments that you pull out, and basically you said the game plan for the deck is to, get Zur set up, get a bunch of enchantments on him, and then basically you spend the rest of the game protecting your setup. The counter spells seem like the way to go about that, and you have quite a few here. Take us through some highlights.
Yeah, well, one thing you'll notice definitely here is that I have a lot of cheap counter spells because, Zur costs 4 mana, you want to get on the board really quickly, and you want to be able to also protect him at the same time until he attacks. And stuff like 1 mana annul, memory lapse, miscalculation, mana leak, they've all been really good at certain times in the history of Magic. Then you have the stuff that's really good like Force of Will, Counterspell, Mana Drain. Those are just no-brainers basically if you can afford the Mana Drain and stuff.
Dave, how many creatures are you running in your Zur deck?
Aside from the General himself, you only have 2 other creatures in the deck.
Alright, take us through the guys that made the cut here.
Well, first is the Oromancer, and he has the really good ability of bringing enchantment back from your graveyard for 3 mana. And
pretty good.
then you also just have the Trinket Mage. Everybody knows his ability is pretty good, and there's some artifacts you can go get with him, plus like Seat of the Synod. He's basically your Sensei Divining Top number 2 in the deck.
We went from Sensei's Divining Top number 2. Let's look at the first one here. We'll flip through these real quick. These are your utility spells and
utility spells and artifacts and such.
Cool.
You got the top there everybody uses. Lightning Greaves is protection, for your general. And
seems
haste.
pretty good.
Scepter is really good with all your counter spells, especially that cost 2 mana. Every turn you can use one. Crucible, Recursion with Strip Mine and Wasteland.
Alright, it's pretty evil.
Mystical obviously gets you any instance.
Sure.
Vampiric still along the same class, gets you anything.
So you got some pretty good tutors in here.
Brainstorm, one of the best card drawers around, so you gotta play that.
Nice. Orange Chant.
Really good, just in general if you playing against a deck that has a lot of counter spells.
Cool.
Tutor gets you anything you need there.
Nice black border tutor.
Yeah. Replenish, kind of like the Oromancer, except gets everything back.
Nice.
Armageddon, if you get Zur on the table and you get this Armageddon off, it's pretty much game over.
Okay, so you get your setup and then blow everybody's lands.
Yep. And then Mind Twist there takes care of your opponent's hand, for pretty cheap.
All right, Dave, here's a quick look at some of the artifact acceleration that you use. Nice Beta Soul Ring. Got Mana Crypt. Some of the other frequent flyers in EDH.
Yeah, a lot of stuff I've collected since we started playing with the Beta Soul Ring and everything.
Pretty cool.
You see a lot of this stuff in most of the decks, but it's all just geared to getting Zur on the table as quick as possible. Even things like one-shot effects like Lotus Petal.
Right.
The faster he's on the table, the faster he can attack, then he's protected.
Okay, the last piece of this puzzle here that we're going to talk about, Dave, is some of your utility and removal. Looks like we're starting with Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah, one of the best ones ever created.
Pretty nice foil.
Yeah,
pretty sweet.
For a long time. Path along the same lines.
All
One
right,
mana,
the new school.
Another version there. Can
All
down
right.
1 mana, gets rid of a creature.
Pretty good.
Capsize can pretty much bounce anything, hopefully, and gets rid of problems.
You got Vindicate.
Vindicate kills any permanent for 3 mana.
Awesome.
Mortify gets rid of a creature or an enchantment.
All right.
And then Winds of Wrath is your Wrath effect, and hopefully Zur stays on the table when you use that because he'll be enchanted.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's not something that makes very many decks, but you can definitely see how it fits in this one.
Yep, and with all your tutors, you can go find that pretty easily.
All right, that wraps up our Zur the Enchanter, Most Hated Generals. We're here with Dave DeMichele. And again, buddy, is there any other tips you would give somebody if they were going to build this deck?
I would just say, focus on Zur himself and the things that he can get. You want to get him out on the board, like I've said before. Get him out and attacking as quick as possible. Protect him with Diplomatic Immunity. Maybe get Necropotence down really quickly after that. Draw a lot of cards. And you can get a soft lock with Solitary Confinement and your counterspells. And usually that's about game over.
Dave, what would you say are the worst things or the disruption that kind of messes this deck up?
The worst things I've had so far are just mono blue decks because you can get into a big counterspell war. But you've got Orm's Chant in there. Hopefully you can get that off one time, and once you do, maybe get Zur down with Hall of Bandit Lord or Lightning Greaves and attack with him right away and then protect them, and after that you can usually coast because they can't touch him.
Okay, seems like good advice. Do you have any other considerations when you're playing the deck?
I would just say when you're facing opponents that have a lot of aggro stuff, don't even worry too much about your own life total. You just want to get Zur down and have enough life to pay some life for Necropotence and such. But other than that, you really don't need. 40 life just gives you a lot of extra time to get the combo set up.
Pretty cool. Well, thanks for taking time out with us today. Zur's one of the most hated generals, and you have just about the best build I've ever seen of it. I like some of the cards that you've collected over the years of playing. And, to everybody out there, I wouldn't necessarily build this. It'll make you a big target at the table, but if you want to have a lot of fun and, do something that's particularly broken, Zur might be the general for you.
I would definitely suggest this more on one-on-one matchups, but it can win a multiplayer game if you get things set up.